and I didn't realize what I was doing for about a week later. I didn't and won't let her die.
Once television's Dog the Bounty is now the toughest tough guy, Hunter is destitute, ill, and left by the truth about his own family. When Beth passed away came out, his image was phony, and his act was the man who caught 10,000 in a lie. Criminals were unable to even cover his own charges that his daughter made against him, surreptitiously recording him while cheating on his son, utilizing racist epithets, followed by the doctors informed him that he was dying in the final blow. This is what the man actually experienced. Dwayne "Dog" Chapman is behind the sunglasses. Was born on February 2nd. His father lived in Denver, Colorado, in 1953. Bale, a fierce veteran of the Korean War. His mother, a bondsman, was a loyal Sunday schoolteacher. It was an odd combination. Religion and violence in one location on the family appeared like any other on the outside. Other households in the middle class, but behind in private, young Dwayne was leading his father's nightmare punishment, but not the typical type. He slapped Dwayne firmly with a wooden paddle, sufficient to cause welts and bruising. Dwayne didn't cry because he wanted his father's blessing. For years, he believed that no matter the expense. Only later did he realize that it was his fault. Understand that it was never about him. Pain like that doesn't simply go away. It transforms a child, and Dwayne was transformed by 15. In an attempt to escape, he joined the Devils. Most of the members of a deadly biker gang. Teen stress about sports or school. Dwayne was figuring out how to live in his first actual test. He stood against the outlaws. He didn't up to a biker twice his size win the battle, but he gained admiration, and as a result, he was granted full membership. Didn't stop there, he challenged at the age of 16. The leadership of the group was crazy and careless, but that's how it worked. His lack of fear and perhaps his desperation become, but anarchy is temporary. Dwayne betrayed his own mentor one day. He gave the man a chest kick and left the group after finishing with them, but without any issues since the age of 17. Dwayne delved deeper into crime at 23. Drug theft, the wrong crowd, everything became commonplace, and he discovered how to get away. The law, how to deceive, and how to vanish. He would employ these abilities later, although not September was September, as anyone might have predicted. A night that transformed Dwayne. On the 15th of 1976, Chapman's wife LaFonda will always be in his life. Pleaded with him to stay home since she had a nasty emotion, but Dwayne ignored him and left out nonetheless with Donald and his three mates: Quandal, Ruben Garza and Cheryl Pfizer. The four of them had a risky strategy. One of them planned to rob a narcotics dealer. Jerry Oliver was a 34-year-old man, and well known for selling in Pampa, Texas. That evening, they drove to a marijuana weapons found in the car at Oliver's house. Dwayne remained outside close to the vehicle with Ruben and Cheryl, but Donald entered. Shortly after, Donald heard a gunshot. Had fired a shotgun with a saw-off straight. He struck Oliver in the breast beneath. The gang hurried to the arm, but it was too late. Oliver remained awake when before he passed away at 3:30, cops arrived. He informed them precisely who was Dwayne was informed about it the following on the radio in the morning. They referred to it as the bloodbath with shotguns, and they were searching for him despite Dwayne's failure to enter but did not pull the trigger. According to the Texas law, the law of parties, if you assist in a criminal conspiracy and another person kills someone else while you may still face murder charges. Additionally, that's precisely what occurred to according to the prosecutors, Dwayne Brada. They said that he provided Donald the shotgun rounds, which was sufficient. He was convicted, together with Donald, and the jurors didn't require much more. Ruben. Later, Dwayne stated, in Texas in the 1970s you were guilty if you were present. That a one poor choice would spend the rest of your life with him, no regardless of what he did in the past. Like a shadow, it adhered to him. 5 years in Huntsville prison, although he didn't finish the entire term. He was 18 months later. Still, those 18 more than anything, months transformed him. At first, he was lost in his life. Felt inadequate, he recalled asking, "How can I alter the world from within? God here?" His response was incorrect. Away, but gradually, he encountered a chaplain introduced him to Dwayne. Did God have the same backward spelling? Chaplain asked God to grant him a bond. Lowered, and inexplicably, it fell the following day. It seemed like more than by accident. Dwayne began believing that perhaps there was still a reason, perhaps he wasn't done yet in his. Dwayne received one of the best jobs in prison. He became the barber for the warden, which meant he was safe. Nobody tampered with the man who trimmed the warden's hair also served as a counselor for other prisoners. Hearing about their issues and consoling them when they lose a loved one once, but the most significant turning moment occurred suddenly. One day, another inmate attempted to flee when Dwayne noticed it occurring and made a quick decision and tackled before the guards could shoot. The man who acts in that instinctive moment altered everything. A guard approached. "Hook him up, bounty hunter," he added. Dwayne could not get that one line out of his head. He believed that it was like a spark. "What I intend to do is become a." When the bounty hunter emerged in February, his first action in 1979 was to go to. He requested to view the list at the post office. "Hello, I'm one of the top 10 sought fugitives." He informed the clerk that it was a reward hunt. Wasn't a joke, he actually meant it. Purchased a badge, which he engraved. The prison number he was assigned was a reminder of his origins and how. What prompted Dwayne decide to go as far as he did from the beginning, Dog Chapman, was that he had a genuine understanding of how criminals believe, because he was previously someone who offered him a distinct advantage because he knew where the route that fugitives may take to hide and the appearance of fear. By 1979, he mentioned that there were just 2 full-time American bounty hunters, as well as a Papa Thorne was the one who gave Dog a opportunity to make a statement. He wasn't merely pursuing individuals for the money, he was constructing another opportunity for himself, one that would quickly grow into a whole empire. He established Dane Bail in the early 1980s. In Honolulu, bonds were more than just bail. It was the center of his entire operation. The location where everything began. Visitors stopped by to observe it. For almost 15 years, admirers adored it. Wasn't only his workplace. It was a part of his identity, including his business, and wife partner assisted him in managing the business. She was audacious, noisy, and hard to disregard, her enormous blonde hair and keen demeanor, but what made it the fact that it seemed like a family made it unique. Company where their children were employed, even the grandchildren occasionally became involved. Claimed to have assisted the state in recovering millions of dollars in bail money without any charges. $1 that little for taxpayers. Shop in Honolulu ultimately became into the exterior of something far larger. The Dog had an issue with the Chapman brand. He couldn't carry because he was a convicted felon. That sounds like guns for a bounty hunter. Similar to a career killer, but rather than Dog's decision to resign made it his greatest strength that he mastered employing largely tasers and other non-lethal weapons, and by his own estimation, he utilized them for more than he even got into legal trouble with. 1,500 fugitives. Issues regarding a person who is alleged to have flashed a taser during a show's taping, but what it wasn't his tools that truly made him stand out. Used it in his communication style. He spoke with them instead of simply arresting them. He reprimanded them like a father hugged them after being disappointed. Like a buddy, he occasionally brought them to tears. His tears were harsh at times. Genuine and sentimental, which is what made those who observe his frailty have turned into the what gave him his humanity and the things helped him become well known throughout time. on his standing by the conclusion of he had over 1,000 in the 1980s. Runaways, but he wasn't pursuing low-level offenders. He pursued the most hazardous people he collaborated with. He traveled across states with the FBI. Did a lot of training and took the work seriously. He claimed to have made more arrests by 2022. Over 10,000 individuals, some of whom desired for the most heinous offenses that may ever. The success rate exceeded 90% in that type of number is unprecedented in his field of expertise. In 2003, for 6 months in a row, Dwayne, despite his obsession, Dog Chapman wasn't pursuing any fugitive. He set his sights on millionaire Andrew Luster and rapist convicted of evading bail, and the lost Luster wasn't limited to he was fleeing from the law after being convicted of 86 rape charges. Dog and his spouse, Beth, hardly ever interacted. Over this period, he missed each and every holiday. They invested their time, money, and in order to find this man, sanity first. One day, a man contacted with a tip, saying he had thrown a glittering party in Puerto. The dog from Vallarta, Mexico, felt he had to act fast. Dog took a direct flight to Mexico. Observed as he waited, and at last, just on June 18, 2003, before daybreak, he made his dazzling move. Was placing an order for tacos from an ambulatory when Dog and his group around him, everything, were frantic and untidy. Witnesses claimed to have seen the bounty. Luster is thrown to the ground by hunters, and put him in handcuffs, while others recorded the pepper was shouted throughout the entire situation. Confusion. Luster and spray didn't even. He had changed his name in order to fight back. Developed a beard and was acting as though Dog, it didn't matter who it was, had him, but it appeared to be a clean takedown. Swiftly descended into catastrophe. Residents believed they were witnessing the police were referred to as dogs for kidnapping. And his team hardly arrived at the airport before being halted, and Luster was also taken into custody. Issue: bounty hunting is prohibited in what the Dog considered a valiant capture in Mexico. Dog was suddenly considered a criminal under Mexican law. His kid, his brother, and the other's crew were incarcerated and facing actual. While in prison they were accused of criminal collaboration, abduction, and suddenly, the hunter had turned into the hunted. The legal ordeal continued. Even following their release on bail, Dog and his group failed to appear for Mexican authorities. Court dates were incensed that the district lawyer even ridiculed the irony of pursuing fugitives. And they spent years as fugitives after that. He discovered that one choice plagued the Dog. Himself repeatedly in legal trouble as a result. He also never made the fees from that case by the court. In 2021, documents revealed that he nearly owed. He had attempted to sue his lawyer for $900,000. Lost, then disregarded the verdict. Eventually, he was pursued by legal action. Returning to Hawaii, and what's even better, it's astonishing that all of this mayhem created the mission of Dog. A star in Wild Mexico earned him a place on a program concerning odd occupations that attracted notice of A.E. and Dog the Bounty. Shortly after Hunter's birth was broadcast in 2004 and became a huge smash that people adored. The Danger and the Strange is a drama. Dog himself's charm, even Osborne performed the first episode's theme tune, attracted more than 3 million viewers, which was enormous for A&E. Prior to Dog, the network typically brought in only 1 million or so, but this wasn't only a program that hunting out criminals was about. A man with a difficult past attempting to anything pleasant. Amid his shouting, erratic and strangely endearing family, viewers were captivated by every episode, which seemed like a roller coaster. You would initially see Dog and his team, his spouse Beth, his children, and colleagues pursuing bail jumpers in intense standoffs and wild foot chases. Then, Dog, the scene would change abruptly. Was dealing with a wanted criminal. The next time he was seated at the kitchen table, offering his son guidance regarding connections with whom it was bounty hunting. Heart, and in some way, the combination of action and genuine familial feelings kept viewers interested. The screen is attached, but behind the things weren't always thus with cameras. Fortunately, things took a huge turn in 2012. There was a heated dispute between Beth and Dog's sons. Leland and Dwayne Lee Jr. wasn't staged, it was quite disorganized. Family strife costing millions of dollars of residences. Dwayne Jr. charged Beth with wishing to eject him, and Leland didn't hold back, and they both left. Fans of the program were astonished to hear rumors. Like a wildfire, they were fired, did they? Choose sides. The family later stated the boys leave on their own initiative, but the harm was completed for some time. The show just was different from Dog the Bounty in 2007. One of the most well-liked faces was Hunter. His reality show on TV had made him a well-known figure, but almost overnight, everything changed. Wasn't a rival or an adversary who revealed Tucker Chapman was his own son. Surreptitiously captured a personal phone conversation and offered the National Enquirer for sale, and the N-word was used by the call dog 6 times while furiously criticizing Tucker's. His primary worry with his black lover wasn't it was about her and how her presence could reveal his use of racial epithets, and he attempted to get his show taken off the air, asserting that he was not racist, but in contrast, the recording stated as soon as the audio was made public, and A&E wasted no time. At any point during the days they removed the air show's advertisers withdrew. Civil rights organizations began urging the show will be permanently cancelled. Dog's mannerisms were more than simply the slur. Has established his reputation as a generous people's second opportunities, but he was still there. Caught uttering a derogatory statement, and unforgivably, his admirers were taken aback and his career abruptly took a nosedive. When the dog sought to apologize, he claimed he was embarrassed to use the word out of rage and that it had nothing to do with race. Was about her personality, but years he exacerbated the situation later in 2021. In an interview, he stated that he believed he was allowed to use the slur due to he compared himself to his incarceration. Addressing Eminem, asserting that the brothers provided with his consent, he even claimed to be a part of Apache's apologies evolved into another controversy, and any advancements he created was quickly deleted. Despite everything, he returned solely because of the noise A&E made. 3 months following the show's cancellation, they declared its comeback, claiming Dog had acted appropriately and was making an effort. He went out to black in order to make amends. Al Sharpton, one of the leaders, consented to. He made it obvious that he wouldn't meet him. Please pardon the reruns of offensive language, and June 2008 saw the return of new episodes. Show continued to exist for a few more years before, for reasons, it was cancelled in 2012. Not connected to the controversy, but the harm never truly disappeared. In 2021, Dog attempted to return with a new program. Dog Unleashed was never even broadcast. The business that made it claimed to have discovered proof of homophobia and racism behavior while filming, they were able to lead the display prior to its premiere. This time, the media wasn't the only outlet voicing his. Bonnie, her own daughter, came forward and verified the claims that she didn't even receive an invitation to his wedding due of her advocacy for Black lives. The beginning of Matter. Dwayne Dog Chapman's life disintegrating before he ever rose to fame. He married LaFonda at an early age in 1972. Dwayne Lee and Sue Darnell had 2 sons, Tu and Leland, who would both go on to assist Dog in his bounty hunting company. But that family didn't survive, and everything blew up in 1976, and the Dog was taken into custody for first-degree murder following when a narcotics deal went awry. He was imprisoned for 18 months, and throughout that, after divorcing him, LaFonda got married. The betrayal of his best buddy was deeply painful. And to further complicate matters, Dog had fathered another without realizing it. Child back in the house with a past girlfriend. 1972, a son he would never even know existed until the early crash, which occurred considerably later. of his private life established the framework for everything that followed the betrayal of love and anarchy that has been after him for decades later on. Someone else might alter the during his life. Beth Chapman was bold, devoted, and unavoidable in 1986. Their story began when Beth was taken into custody and her bond was dog-posted. Was married and still a teenager. But the link continued despite it. The following 20 years, they were unable to let go of one another even when they both married others. Beth even acknowledged declaring in public that she was the other female via two of Dog's spouses and a girlfriend. Their relationship became deeply complicated. Beth was married amid controversy and emotion. Had 2 children and continued to remarry, although in 1995, it was officially recognized as a dog. Took in Beth's daughter, and the two of them. They created a brand and a life that made they are well known throughout America, but only when everything appeared to be coming together. On May 20, 2006, disaster struck. Their wedding was scheduled for Hawaii. Dog was devastated by a phone call. Barbara Katie, his daughter, aged 23 the day before, Chapman had perished in a vehicle accident. Prior to that, he was preparing his vows. He was grieving for a daughter the next day. Almost cancelled the wedding, but after conversing with their pastor and family they made the decision to proceed. At the reception, they shared their visitors regarding the mishap and what ought to have been a wonderful day turned into something otherwise, a mixture of grieving strength and affection that demonstrated how Dog and Beth confronted the pain head-on alongside still their relationship, as the majority of there were storms in the dog's life. 6 marriages, nearly all of which his 4th marriage to them was messy. Toni Marie Chapman's performance was terrible from he had initially detained her for medications, after which he employed her as his secretary. And then wed her despite the fact that he acknowledged that she didn't feel comfortable battled addiction, and they parted ways. Merely 2 years later, in 2021 Bonnie, his own daughter, accused him of having an affair with Beth even when Beth was living. She also asserted that he made racist and hateful comments. It was a scandal. Thing destroyed the family in the same way that Dog intended to wed a different woman. The people saw the Frankency headlines, but there was a pattern behind them. Relationships with dogs were usually heated. Then, always theatrical and never straightforward. The greatest heartbreak of all occurred after a protracted fight. Beth passed away in June 2019. She had throat cancer at the age of 51. Dog. It was like the world ended in his. He acknowledged on Dog's Most Wanted that he stated that he considered suicide. Initially didn't want to live without her. Observe what Dog the Bounty Hunter appeared to be. One of those extravagant reality programs where the people and activities felt genuine appeared tough, and justice was always revealed. Above but behind the crazed pursuits and the story of tough talk was much messier. Full of litigation, betrayal, and scandal and the 2011 financial crisis. Bobby Brown is a prominent figure on the show. Brought legal action that revealed anything that the audience didn't anticipate. Stated that he appeared in more than 40 episodes but was paid a total of only $6,000, or $150 per incredibly low episode, particularly when you believe that the show has surpassed $400 million, as reported by Brown's network. Made false claims and abandoned genuine business prospects considering the show would eventually pay off, but it didn't. The timing was what made it worse. This case was filed shortly after Dog had been subjected to criticism for a 2007 racist incident that nearly